This is a short tape covering basic fencing. Here we're concerned with beginning fencing with non-electric French grip foils. We'll be covering the target area, the weapons and equipment used in fencing, some of the basic footwork, and some of the uses of the blade, and we'll conclude with a short demonstration to discuss what we've learned. The target area for the foil covers the torso only, both front and back. The head, arms, and legs are not included. There are other weapons, and they each have different target areas. In this tape, we only concern ourselves with the non-electric or standard foil. Here we have a foil with a French grip. There are other grips available, such as Italian and pistol, and you may try them at your leisure. The foil is used in beginner class because it is the easiest weapon to learn and use. The French grip is used because it lends itself to easy maneuverability. The grip should be held with only 3 fingers: the index finger, the middle finger, and the thumb. The rest of the fingers just curl around the grip. You should have a light touch so that you can maneuver. However, hold on to it tightly enough so that it doesn't get away from you. If you have tension or pain in your fingers, hand, wrist, forearm, or shoulder, then you are holding the foil too tightly. Relax your grip. The foil has several parts: the blade, the bell or guard, the handle, and a counterweight called a pommel. The blade is divided into strong, middle, and weak areas. The bell or guard will block your opponent's blade. I'd like to discuss electric and non-electric foils. The main difference between the two is their construction, including the design of the tip of the blade. In a standard foil, the blade has a blunted end, usually with a rubber tip on the end. An electric foil has a small plunger tip, which when pressed against your opponent, will show the touch on a scoring machine. Your instructor can discuss electric foils in detail later. It's important to note the shape and dynamics of the blade. The blade is rectangular and is wider at the base than at the tip. The blade is flexible and can bend in either direction, but you'll notice that it should curve downward when pointed at your opponent. There are several articles of clothing and equipment which are used in fencing. All are designed for protection of the body. We don't want people to get hurt. The first item is a mask. It has a steel mesh which covers the face. The mask will wrap around the head, giving additional protection. Masks come in several varieties. This is a foil mask. A mask is a required item for fencing. The next item is a fencing jacket. It offers protection for the body. One jacket will do for all types of weapons. For women, there are pockets sewn into the jacket. In there you'll place 2 metal discs, breast protectors. A jacket is a required item for fencing. The next item is a glove. It protects the hand from being rubbed raw when holding the weapon and protects your hand if it gets hit during a fencing match. Gloves come in many styles and materials. It is required for competition, but it's a good idea to always have one. You'll notice that I'm wearing knickers. It's a leftover from the days when knickers were the style of dress. Now it's more of a convention than anything else. They are not required except in competition. Maintaining your balance is important, and to prevent yourself from skidding on the fencing floor or strip, you should have a good pair of sneakers or other athletic shoes. Generally, any good tennis shoes will do the job. Shoes or sneakers with black soles shouldn't be worn. The next item I'd like to discuss is something called a plastron. It's an underarm protector. Our model here is wearing one. As you can see, it covers the side facing your opponent, protecting the target area. Finally, I'd like to show you a lame. This is used in electric fencing. This lame is for foil and very clearly shows the target area. Now we will cover basic footwork. The first item is the on-guard position. If you're right-handed, turn your torso to the wall on your left. Turn your head to your right to face your opponent. Place your feet at right angles to each other, and then take about a half step forward. Bend your knees slightly, bring your back arm up, and curl it over your shoulder. Then hold your front arm straight out in front of you, bend your elbow slightly. This is the basic on-guard position. Next, we move on to the advance maneuver. This is used to move forward or advance toward your opponent. Move your front foot first by stepping out heel first. Place the heel on the floor in front of you, then roll onto the sole of your foot. Then bring your back foot toward you and place it approximately a half step from your front foot. Now you should be in the on-guard position again. Now we move on to the retreat maneuver. Start by stepping back with your rear foot first and follow it with your front foot. Your feet should be about a half step apart. When you finish the retreat maneuver, you should again wind up in the on-guard position. The next move is important when you want to touch your opponent. This move is the lunge. It extends your reach and allows you to touch your opponent with your blade without you being touched. Start from the on-guard position. Extend your arm with the foil in it toward your opponent. Kick out your front foot and land on it. Keep your toes pointed straight ahead with your knee over your toes and your foot flat on the floor. Bend your front leg and keep your back leg straight. Keep your back foot flat on the floor and it should be perpendicular to your front foot. Drop your back arm and let it rest along your body. The final move I'd like to discuss is the balestra. It's a jumping maneuver designed to gain distance so you can touch your opponent. Start from the on-guard position, kick out your front foot, and jump forward. You should land on both feet at the same time in the on-guard position. Generally, a balestra is followed immediately by a lunge. Now we will discuss the basic parries. To parry is to knock your opponent's blade out of the way. Although there are 8 parries altogether, generally only 2 are used in foil fencing. They are parry 4 and parry 6. I'd like to take a moment to discuss the concept of in-line. Remembering the target area, the body can be divided into 4 segments: right and left, inside and outside, and high and low. When your opponent threatens your target area, he is said to be in line. Your job is to defend yourself by blocking or parrying his blade. The parry 4 maneuver is used when your opponent is attacking you and threatens your inside. Push the back portion of your blade, the strong portion, toward your inside. Your fencing arm should be crossing your body. The tip of the blade should be pointing at your opponent. The parry 6 maneuver is used when your opponent attacks your outside. Move the back portion of your blade toward your outside. The pommel should move up and over your wrist, and the tip of the blade should be pointed at your opponent. These 2 parries can be performed in the high and low regions we discussed earlier. Other parries that are available can be demonstrated by your instructor. Fencing isn't always defending yourself. You will attack your opponent, but that requires that you move his blade out of the way, out of line. The first attack is called a press. That's exactly what it is, pressing on the opponent's blade. This gives you an idea of how your opponent is holding his blade, too loosely, too tightly, and it will push his blade out of the way. The next attack is a beat. You sharply strike your opponent's blade with yours. Remember to keep your blade in line so you can touch your opponent. It's best to use the strong portion of your blade against the weak portion of your opponent's blade. There are a variety of other attacks on the blade, and your instructor can discuss this with you later. Now, a demonstration of fencing, combining all of the elements which were previously discussed. Any questions you have about the match or any maneuvers that you see can be answered by your instructor. Now that you've seen fencing in action, let me remind you of what we've learned. We've discussed the target area, which in foil is the torso only. We've covered the basic foil and all of its parts. The clothing and equipment were covered. A mask and jacket are always required, and for the purposes of your classes, a glove, long pants, and proper shoes are always required. We covered the basic footwork, which includes the on-guard position, the advance, retreat, the lunge, and the balestra. Next, we discussed the basic parries and their purposes. In foil, parry 6 and parry 4 are the most often used parries. Finally, we saw the basic attacks on the blade. I'd like to thank you for watching, and what you saw here covers only the basics of fencing. You'll spend the next few weeks learning all of these things and more. Hopefully after a beginner's class you'll want to continue. Check out fencing clubs in your area. It's great fun, it's great exercise, and keep in mind that fencing should always be fun and safe. Thank you for watching.